Okay, good morning, guys. Good morning, teacher. I hope that you're pretty good today. And well, on this occasion, I'm going to talk about the Montessori method. And I hope that you enjoy this topic because this is a really interesting topic. And let's get started. Well, these are the points that will be covered through this presentation. The first one is how is Maria Montessori? Then what is the Montessori method? And then the origins and principle of this method. Then the characteristics of the Montessori method. Of course, the fundamentals of the Montessori method. And then the contributions to education by Maria Montessori and the criticism of the Montessori method and some conclusions that I will give you at the end of this presentation. So let's get started. So, who is Maria Montessori? Well, she was an Italian educator, a scientist, physician, psychiatrist, philosopher, psychologist, devout Catholic, feminist, and humanist. Well, she was born in Ceravella, province of Ancona in Italy, in a Catholic bourgeois family on August 31 in 1870. Among her greatest achievements are having created the Montessori method and having been nominated 3 times for the Nobel Prize. And she died in the Netherlands in 1952 at the age of 82. According to Gutek in 2004, her life story is a remarkable one-on-one in which a dedicated woman used her scientific training, her experience, and her insights to develop a method of education that challenged conventional patterns of education. Um, but her thoughts is still alive in the many educational institutions around the world that apply her method. So it's the most remarkable thing and that is currently in the education. And what is the Montessori method? Well, the Montessori method is a pedagogical proposal of Maria Montessori based on the scientific observation of boys and girls and the various phases of development throughout life, their potentialities, and their interest in their abilities. For Lillard in 1972, said that children absorb like sponges all the information that they require and need for their performance in daily life. The child learns to speak, write, and read in the way that she does when crawling, walking, running, etc. That is spontaneously. Maria Montessori's work was not only to develop a new way of teaching, but to discover and help the child reach his potential as a human being through of the senses in a prepared environment and using the scientific observation of a teacher trained. Okay, here are the origins and principles of this method. First, this method was created in the late 19th and early 20th centuries in Italy, and Montessori based her ideas on respect for children and in their impressive capacity to learn from his experiences with children at social risk. According to Montessori in 2004, she said that to develop a system of scientific pedagogy, we must then proceed along lines very different from those that have been followed up to the present time. The transformation of the school must be contemporaneous with the preparation of the teacher. And for if we make of the teacher an observer familiar with experimental methods, then we must make it possible for her to observe and to experiment in the schools. Basically, the fundamental principle of the pedagogy must be indeed the liberty of the pupil, such liberty as shall permit the development of individual spontaneous manifestation of the child's nature. And if a new and a scientific pedagogy is to arise from the study of the individual, such study must occupy itself with the observation of children. On the other hand, Wentworth in 2013 said that one of the main ideas underlying the Montessori system was that education should fully develop children's positive potential so they can become happy and useful members of society. Basically, Montessori believed that the best way to achieve this was to see that education suits the child's nature and inclinations. To fulfill this purpose, she said it is necessary to base the method on specific principles drawn from first-hand investigations in schools. Well, now I'm going to talk about some characteristics of the Montessori method. The first one is about learning by curiosity and discovery. The Montessori method is based on autonomy, free, practical, and discovery learning. In this way, the interest and curiosity to learn in children is being favored. And the second one, appropriate and adapted educational environment. Here, the educational environment must be safe and comfortable for children so that they can actively and freely develop the activities they choose. Spaces must be prepared to favor activities with natural elements. And the third one, the importance of children's initiative. Here, as I mentioned before, children choose activity, game, or educational content that they want to develop and the time they invest. And they mark their own learning without pressure or obligation in this way. The children are being given the opportunity to express their educational preference. And the number four, learning time without interruptions. The time that the children invest to develop the activity has to be without interruptions. And for Maria Montessori, was combined that in this way, children better develop their attention and concentration. And in the last one, the number five, the change from teachers to guides. Because on many occasions, teachers have the main role in the learning teaching process, and here they become guides who observe the children. Mhm. Okay, so the fundamentals of the Montessori method. The first one is the respect for children. Teachers must show respect for children when the child makes decision for himself and he develops the skills that will contribute to his autonomy and self-esteem. The child is capable of knowing without the help of the adult, and this is a principle that the adult must be clear about. In the second one, the observant mind of the child. Montessori believes that the children can educate themselves, and the child learns only by living, and for this reason, he can learn everything from his environment. And then the sensitive period, and this is a really interesting point because sensitive periods are periods when children can pick up a skill very easily. And one of the main roles of the teacher is to observe and detect the moments where there is more sensitivity to make the most of the child's potential. In the number four, the prepared environment, and it refers to an environment that has been carefully arranged from the child, designed to encourage self-learning and growth. And in it, the social, emotional, and intellectual aspects are developed and they respond to the needs of order and security. And in the last point, in the number five, is the role of the adult. Here, the role of the adult in the Montessori philosophy is to guide the child and introduce him to the environment in a respectful and loving way. Be conscious, observer, and be in a continuous learning and personal development. Now let's talk about some contributions to education by Maria Montessori. Well, according to Moreno in 2012, Montessori proposed offering an educational adapted to the needs of children based on the construction of an environment and materials appropriate to their lifestyle, abilities, and interests without neglecting their particular characteristics like age, philosophy, psychology, personal traits, and growth. Well, this pedagogy helps to avoid behavioral deviations that lead to mental disorder and abnormality manifested in many ways in childhood, like disobedience, rebellion, tantrums, lies, disorder, craving for food, nightmares, wetting the bed, dependence, or extreme possessiveness, attachment to a person, among others. On the other hand, Avellaneda Acuña in 2018 said that the most important thing is that the teacher must be a subject with flexibility to transmit knowledge, and he must guide and not apply educational practices such as traditional ones like memorizing. In this case, the teacher must not impose the lessons. It must be based on the needs identified in children from birth to their developmental age. Basically, Montessori describes that doesn't call him a teacher, but a guide which is trained under specialized methodologies to observe and not control and know how to manage the environment properly. So that the child develop indirectly, and, and this is a structured mind. Finally, according to Rodriguez Blanque in 2013, said that the Montessori method is developed in a prepared environment where the child will be able to develop three basic areas of knowledge through through the didactic material like practical life or motor education, sensory materials to educate the sense, academic materials for reading, writing, and math. And well, the material and stimuli must be implemented in the Montessori method since the child is curious and he has the first months where his process of neural and physical development met with desire to learn, simulation for his optimal development. And here are criticism of the Montessori method. And according to Galeano Martinez, Medina Garcia, and Belén Ardila in 2013, said that some of the criticism made of the Montessori method are directed at the analytic process underlying the need for an overall construction where the combinations of intelligence play a more important role in the dynamism that the sensations derive from. So basically, they said that the intelligence has to play a more important role in this process of learning from the child. And this is the main critic that they make to the Montessori method. And well, here are my conclusions of this method. Through these presentations, we were able to realize that learning in children occurs naturally, and the children learn to speak, write, and read in the same way as they learn to crawl, walk, and run, that is from spontaneously. Therefore, our duty as adults and future professionals of the education is to respect its processes and inculcate to wish to learn. And okay, guys, so this is the end of my presentation, and I hope that you have learned something about this topic because this is a really interesting topic. So this is the end of my presentation, and thank you so much for your attention, and see you next time.